I would take it so personal, and it would get under my skin because you'd always say, yeah, Mom was a gymnast, remember? You know, you'd always say something about those kind of things, and it would bother me so bad. And I'd be like, what in the world? Like, you were making fun of me or something.
Were you maybe a little too sensitive? Okay, so I'm Shawn.
And I'm Kori.
And this is Conversations Left Behind. Today, obviously, we're talking a little bit about how to deal with sensitive people.
Yes.
So if you have a sensitive person around you, this may be the one to watch. But hey, after you hear the conversation, if you like what you hear, we'd love for you to join in, leave some comments, subscribe to our channel, and just join in with us on this journey as we leave Conversations Left Behind.
Yeah. Yep.
Go ahead. So you were a gymnast.
Yes, when I was younger, I was a gymnast. But I'm saying the comments that you guys used to say just to get on my nerves, because you knew I used to take it personally and be sensitive about it and be like, I would get mad. Like, why do you guys keep saying that? And you did it on purpose to get under my skin. Now it doesn't bother me because it just comes up.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
I think it does.
It doesn't.
No?
But anyway, it's like, I feel like everybody has some type of, I feel like, sensitivity to some different things. It depends on maybe what it is, but it's hard to not take everything like personally sometimes that people say that. Yeah, I feel like that's a hard thing.
From what I've heard, most gymnasts are not sensitive people.
See? Yeah.
I'm just kidding, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know any other gymnasts besides you.
That was a long time ago. Yeah,
she's a gymnast.
She is a gymnast.
She's like a superstar, but she's
super good. Yeah.
2-foot superstar.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So strong.
Yeah, she's crazy. She's amazing.
Yeah. Anyway.
You could like take her and just.
Oh, she's so bendy.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. I wasn't bendy. I just did all the flips and the stuff. Yeah.
We're off track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, yeah, it's funny because I remember that and we had a lot of fun with that.
You guys still do. They still do. They still bring stuff up.
I think it's because, yeah. I wonder if that came from because your mom was always bragging on, a gymnast and everything. Mm-hmm. And then when they're bragging on you, your mom, mm-hmm. about what an amazing gymnast you were.
Yeah.
But then you can't even run and you're just not as athletic as what you would picture a gymnast at an adult. I know you were.
Yeah.
But I'm saying now as we're adulting or married and you have kids and everything else.
Yeah. Hey, I still do cartwheels and stuff.
Oh,
I
what?
Still can.
Let's see.
I'm not gonna do it right this minute.
Do one.
No.
Do it over there and everybody can see.
I can though.
Really?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
When's the last time you tried that?
Before we moved in this house.
Hey, our copay is really expensive, so.
It is, yeah.
You should do that.
But anyway, it was only a few years ago.
Okay. I can't do one.
Well, could you ever?
No, probably not. You know me, I don't bend. Yeah.
Back on.
So, back to it. The point is, so we never knew that person.
Right.
The super gymnast.
Because I was a kid.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So it was fun, and obviously all of our girls and everything always joke.
They still do, yes.
So we tease each other.
It's a funny thing.
That's how we poke at each other, is we joke and tease.
Yeah.
And so every time it would come up, we're like, oh yeah, Mom was a gymnast, Mom the gymnast.
And I used to get so bent out of shape.
You get really upset.
Yeah.
What's funny? Yeah. What are you laughing at?
Why do you guys
always make fun of me?
Yeah. But now it's
that doesn't work in this family.
Yeah, exactly. I learned that.
Because it just grows. Mm-hmm. Because now we know it kind of rubs you a little bit, so we do it some more.
Yeah. Well, now it doesn't because I'm just like, whatever. Because it's a known thing. Yeah.
Okay.
But what about you? What's something that you're sensitive about?
Nothing.
Okay.
I don't know.
Not true. I'm trying to think of an example.
You shouldn't have asked me that. I wasn't prepared for that question.
Sorry.
I'm sure there's things that, I can be hypersensitive to.
Anybody, yeah.
I think it's usually, for me, in the context of our relationship, when you ask me too many questions that have to do with things that you don't deal with at all and never have, it makes me feel like you're questioning me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That irritates me.
Yeah.
So I'm a little sensitive to that. And I'm like, what do you care?
That. Yeah.
What do you care? Why are you asking me this? So I can be sensitive to that.
Yeah.
And I know oftentimes it's not meant that way,
Right.
but I take it that way, you know, because it's frustrating.
Yeah. So what do we do? What do you like? My sensitivity was not, you know, like a serious thing, but there are people that you really got to kind of walk on eggshells around certain people and watch what you say because it might upset them. And there's people that are a lot more sensitive than others. So
yeah, look, excuse me, for sure. There are some people who are really sensitive, and they may be in your family, they may be, you know, in your relationship somewhere. I don't know.
Friends,
they may be a spouse.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was that you?
No.
Okay. Was it me?
No.
Okay. We're good?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. But you definitely, and we have, do you have friends that I have some friends or some people around me outside of our house that
I've
can
known
be pretty
people that,
sensitive.
Yes.
You have to set boundaries.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think more importantly, you have to understand how this person is wired. And you know, it's funny, I just had a conversation with somebody about that, how they have to understand it. And this was spousal.
Yeah.
How you have to have an understanding of how the other person's wired. You know, so in other words, if I'm making all these, you know, assumptions to you, and then they come back to me and with frustration because you think that person's oversensitive, well, maybe you just don't know how to communicate with them properly.
Right. That's what I was going to say, communicating, learning how to communicate with them, knowing that they're sensitive to certain things. That's so important, is realizing that, like you said, that's big to realize. You need to pay attention and realize how to talk to them differently, and I guess not skirt around things, but just communicate with them differently.
Yeah, you know, so in all the years I've been in business, obviously I communicate with a lot of different people from all over the world.
Yeah.
So it's funny when you see, you know, some of the international communications, they sound totally different than they do someone within the US or different nationalities and stuff like that, primarily because I'm trying to communicate on their level, or some would call it on their frequency.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You know, so it may be when it's certain parts of the country, it's like broken English to us, and you're like, why are you talking that way?
Yeah.
Because this is understandable
For
to them.
Yes.
Yeah. But then we come home, or we operate with the people around us in our inner circle, you know, that we operate in daily, and we don't think about that at all.
No.
We just blast it out however we are, whatever works for us. And then if you have a sensitive person, it comes back and it creates tension or frustration or something like that. You know?
Yeah. And you don't know, sometimes you don't realize it until later it comes out, you know, from someone. But yeah, so setting boundaries, that's a good thing to do.
Yeah, so definitely you have to set some boundaries. But I think most importantly is you have to recognize, once you learn this about the person, it usually doesn't take very long to learn it about a person.
Figure it out.
You're gonna know quick if there's, you know, if that's kind of how they're wired.
Yeah.
But, you know, the only way you can change somebody else is...
You can't change someone else. Change how you approach them or talk to them or communicate.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny because you grow up hearing this stuff. Well, you can't change somebody else. You can only change yourself. And you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
It gets old, you know, of hearing that.
But it's true.
And there's a time and a season in my life where I thought, oh yeah, watch.
Yeah.
You know, we can change somebody else. You can't.
Right.
You truly can't. And now in this phase of my life, I truly understand. And we've experienced that a lot in our marriage. And we've adapted and agreed to make changes to be able to communicate properly with each other.
Right.
And to not, you know, just go straight to judgment or straight to sensitivity and say, hey, knowing this person, how they think, because we know each other intimately. And a lot of times, you know, your friends and people in your inner circle, you know, intimately as well, as far as communication and things like that. What do I need to do differently? How do I need to communicate differently that works for them? And then it drops the wall down. But you still have to keep some boundaries to where you don't allow, you know, too much of that conversation if you want to protect the relationship.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's good. Yeah, I agree. And I've learned that too, because I've knowing certain people that we do that are more sensitive, and just more boundaries too. I think of not communicating as much sometimes. Just it also helps.
That's a good
because, point. Yeah, then you don't open the door to too much of that.
Sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
Sometimes can you say sometimes more is less?
Does
that even make sense? Sometimes less is more, yeah, but maybe not in this case. I guess that could go either way.
Yeah.
Because, less is more. Sometimes you just need to shut your mouth.
Right. That's what I was saying.
Just stop talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the easiest way, because some people just keep going, and you keep
right,
having the contention and everything, because maybe this person's sensitive, maybe you're over. So yeah, that's funny.
What?
So Sam was here earlier.
Yeah.
One of our daughters. One of our daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was here earlier, and we were talking about this topic, and I think you were sitting there, and I looked at her because she knows I've teased her before, and I said, well, maybe some people are just too sensitive.
Yeah.
Like that. She goes, well, maybe some people are just too insensitive.
Yeah, she was looking at you.
Don't point at me. Don't do
that's
that.
what she was doing. It was
so she
funny.
threw it right back at me, and it was funny. It was witty.
She's witty anyway.
Yeah, that's good.
Gets that from you.
Little brat. Anyway, it was funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have both sides. So this may be the sensitive person.
Yeah.
And this may be the insensitive person. And then when you bring them together, oh my gosh,
it
just doesn't work well.
Right.
So oftentimes, I think I lean more towards, maybe a little towards the insensitive person, and I just kind of blast it out there as I'm trying to move fast and furious to get the information across for whatever it is. It would be more my responsibility to slow down a little bit and say, okay, look, just because I see it this way and here's the information doesn't mean they're going to absorb it the same way for how they're wired, your thinking patterns and everything else, and just kind of what makes you think and operate. You may be like, huh, and why would you say that to me? That was offensive. When it had no bearing on that at all.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to come out that way. It wasn't meant to be offensive. And the worst thing like that is texting, because it comes through, people don't have any idea how the tone is or whatever, and it's so easy to be offended and be sensitive during things like having a texting thing with someone and disagreement or whatever, because it comes across a certain way and someone takes it one way that it wasn't meant to be. So I've experienced that many times.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. So look, the thing is this, really at the end of the day, I think, what we've learned is, and it just isn't your spouse. Right. We're talking about relationships as a whole.
Yes.
You have to look at them for what they are and say, what is it, how is it that I'm communicating that they don't interpret the same way as I'm sending it out? Make sense?
Yeah.
And you have to take ownership for that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in other words, like with some of our daughters, I may have a conversation with them, and one of them I can be like, bam.
Yes.
And great, got it,
Yep.
go. And we're done. And then another one, it just spins in a circle, and it's like the conversation goes here, and it's like, well, you said this. I'm like, yeah, but so what? What's wrong with that? Well, because then it made me feel this way, and back and forth, and you're just really dealing with two different types of personalities. And if you don't learn to try to love the friend, love the person within your circle that you're communicating with enough that you see them for what they are, and you try to recognize these patterns, and they may not be capable.
Right, that's true.
It's not uncommon that maybe the person on the other side is not capable of making the change or understanding the same to you.
They don't know.
Everybody has different levels of insight, of how they frame the whole thing, and to be able to assess it and say, hey, look, here's what caused that.
Right.
When this person may say, I don't know what caused it, you're just honoring.
Right. That's probably happens quite a bit. People don't recognize it in themselves.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, what have we learned?
I have learned that you need to communicate differently with people that have issues being sensitive or taking things personally.
Yeah.
And then with myself, as far as that goes, the same thing. Just I mean, it depends on what is said and how things are said, but I will take things personally at first before I think about, hey, it wasn't really meant to be that way, or someone tells me that it wasn't meant to be that way, and I just took it wrong. But
yeah, so you just, you have to do your best
Yep.
to change yourself in the way that you're talking instead of expect everyone else around you to change.
Yep.
And if it's that bad, if the person is that extreme, maybe it's not a healthy relationship,
off, yeah.
and you need to step away or set a type of boundary that basically sets them aside, or you limit the interaction with them. Or sometimes you just need to cut them loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope
that's not the case, but
I hope so.
I think when you deal with the latter first and you say, hey, how can I really take ownership of this in the way that I'm communicating, even though I don't see it as offensive, but if they do, maybe I could word it better or change it around
change
to where
how
it
you're
helps
doing it.
them, and then it gives everybody a time, in distance from those sensitivity spots to where everything starts subsiding
calm.
over time and the relationship heals.
Yeah. It's really good.
That's what I think.
I agree.
That's what we've had.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's get out of here.
All right.
Hey, I'm Shawn.
And I'm Kori.
This is Conversations Left Behind,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. If you like this episode, we would love for you to take just a second, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, and really jump in and leave a comment. We love hearing from folks who are joining as we, just leave conversations behind.
Yeah.
So join in. Thanks for being here. See you next time.